Hi everyone, welcome back to FESIG. This is the second session and we are going to start the second session right away now.
Let's get together to co-create a breakthrough for freedom of energy, sustenance, healing, and regeneration of the human vessel. Welcome to FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
Hi, welcome back. This is the second session, and the second session we have Jared Rand speaking, and he will be updating us with the assembly of the celestial chamber, and he will be disclosing some new technologies that have not been discussed by anyone on the planet until now. So it's very exciting time, folks. And once we finish the Q&A with Jared, this meeting will then be adjourned to the 75th FESIG meeting on the 1st of April. And please pen it down in the diary with confirmed speaker, Dr. Frank D. Germano, who will be disclosing or rather presenting his prototypes of his free energy technology devices, and a yet to be confirmed second speaker at the usual FESIG meeting time of 7:30 GMT. So we are reverting back to the usual meeting time. And I'm sorry, I haven't got the share screen again. Okay, this is the agenda. Okay, so it was shown and shared on the screen in the first session. So I'm not going to hold this up any longer. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And there you go. I'm going to have to introduce Jared again this time, because the last time he spoke with FESIG was about 9 months ago. That was on the 64th FESIG meeting, I believe, when Jared was talking about the celestial chamber. So Jared actually was talking about how this celestial chamber is working for healing and rejuvenation. They are medical beds, basically, but he doesn't call it that. It's just called celestial chambers. And he was talking about the RV, the funding, free energy devices, replicators, and disclosure intel. Jared is building highly advanced off-world technologies such as the plasma tachyon celestial chambers, portal technology, resurrection beds, replicators, and rejuvenation pills. He said he's here at this time with this planet to assist the civilization to break away from its enslavement and to free its consciousness to think for itself and lead itself, and to exist in complete harmony, to be humble and in complete gratitude, to love ourselves and each other, and to value life as the highest value in the universe, to expand into the universe and beyond. He said he is here in complete humbleness and in deep eternal love to serve us all. Jared brings uplifting and enlightening messages in his guided daily meditation to millions of followers globally, and he has a lot to share with the world on disclosure intelligence information as well. So without much ado, I would like to pass the microphone over to Jared. Over to you, Jared. Thank you very much for choosing to be with us. Over to you, Jared.
Thank you for having me. And hello, everyone. Last time I talked, it was a long time ago, but it's a 9, so that's 9 months. That's a good number, good energy. But just to update everybody on the celestial chamber, we've added some more technology or advancements to it. The cell structure in the human body is, or I should say, Homo sapien human, because the human on this planet is the minority, and so the Homo sapien human hybrids Homo sapiens, 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 human hybrid, hybrid, hybrids. So I differentiate between that. That's why I say human and Homo sapien. So the cell structure in our bodies is arranged so that the cells will degrade at a certain point. They're coded. And this is why the body ages prematurely. This was a genetic application that was implemented quite a long time ago for the civilization. In fact, all animals, and we are animals, but all animals on the planet have this same problem with premature aging. Now, when the cells, I'm sure you all know, when the cells start to degrade, the body starts to deteriorate over time, and then eventually ceases to hold the God within us. So, in eventuality, we have anywhere from, depending on natural progression, 80, 90, 100 years, sometimes on rare occasions, 120. What we've done is that the cell, from the atom level, we've recoded the cell. So during the re-atomization process with the celestial chamber, the cells are recoded to not expire. So what that means is that the body would become immortal. So, and this is something that a lot of people have, and there are some on this planet that are aware of this. So the immortality means that we eliminate all disease, so the body doesn't get disease. The immune system is accelerated to the level. Now, we all know that you can cut yourself and eventually it'll heal. The body heals itself, but at a much slower rate. That's also been genetically modified by off-worlders. So the fact of the matter is that when the cells are recoded, the body will not degrade. So I'll give you an example. If you have someone that breaks a tooth or has abscess, whatever, and they have to have the tooth extracted, a new tooth will take its place. It changes the whole anatomy from the tissue and cellular structure of the body. So, in the application now, there's some people, and I've interviewed quite a few people on their perspective of what they think or feel on going through a re-atomization process in the body, because it sounds really seductive in the beginning, but you really do and should really review it, because do you want to live as long as you choose to stay in that body 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years old? Do you want to live that long in that body? Some people have said, no, I'm fine where I'm at. I just need a couple of things done so that I could have a good quality of life at my age. And that's fine. So we don't, in other words, we have the tailoring ability to just affect certain applications with the body. So in other words, if you have let's just say you have a hip replacement, knee replacement, you have a pacemaker, you have cardiovascular issues, you have numerous processes that happen as the body breaks down. We can correct that. It doesn't take long. See, people have a concept of this time element. And time is a construct put on this planet. Time really does not exist. It is an illusion, quite frankly. So when people understand that here on Earth, the process only takes about 3 minutes or less. Full re-atomization of the body is about 3 minutes. It does a pass with the halo, and it evaluates the body and the tissues and the cellular structure and what the anomalies are. Anomalies are basically designed. Leukemia, all cancers old diseases, even those that have not been discovered yet. So in reality, we have the ability to, you can be ageless. You'll never age. You'll stay at a certain age. You'll stay at 30, 35 years old. And it will not, the body will not change. You'll have a highly accelerated immune system. Things will heal very rapidly. You cut yourself. For instance, let's say you're walking or you're hiking, you stumble, you fall, you break a bone, you can't get anywhere. We've incorporated it isn't the full capacity of the CC. It is I guess you'd call it a mini CC, portable one. And you carry that with you. It's self-powering, so it never needs to be batteries or electricity, AC, DC. And you would pass it over the area that has damage, and it would eliminate as if it never happened. The body carries a memory in everything. Every trauma, if you're missing a limb, the body still has the memory that the limb is there. If you have an organ removed, the body still has that space that it keeps of where that organ was. So what happens is that we re-atomize different parts of the body, loss of limbs, face disfiguration due to trauma or accidents. And the body will not, when the individual wakes up, they will not remember the trauma to the body. They won't remember that they were missing a leg, which is a really good thing because they don't need to know. A lot of people say, I really don't care to know. I'd rather just have it so that I didn't know. Some people want to know, so then we make that intact. So we have a diversity of adjustments and fine-tuning that we can do with different individuals. Now people can pick out, we've built a database of legs and arms and, endomorphic, ectomorphic, mesomorphic, the different body configurations, hair color, eye color, the whole fingers, hands, toes, feet, very detailed. So in an eventuality, an individual can pick out how they really want to appear. If you're 5'5" and you like to be 6'5", it can be done through re-atomization as well. It's just a little different of application. You wake up and you won't be able, your appearance will be a lot different. You also have to look at your identification, your documentation on who you are. If you're 80 years old, you will, and you're reverted back to the age of 30, 35, you're going to have to come up with an explanation on what, if people are going to even recognize you at that young age compared to 80. So there are things that we have posed to people in confidential communication that are on the list for the first treatments to make sure that they understand that this is long term. This isn't a quick fix. So what you get, we're not going to be able to reverse it. Okay, and so people have to make a really strong decision on whether or not they are good and are comfortable with the transition, because it is quite a transition. And your all of your faculties, people with Alzheimer's, all the issues and situations, gone, all gone. Stroke victims, people with heart attacks, 2-3 heart attacks, gone. All damage eliminated. Vascular issues eliminated. All situations with the tissue and the body eliminated. So that the human Homo sapien body does not have, you won't have the worries and stresses and fears that the current civilization is carrying on, worrying about, life expectancy, worrying about disease, worrying about all of these things. People say, well, what if there's a virus that's been released and will the body be affected? The immune system is structured to the point at that stage that no, you will not contract anything. Most of the diseases on this planet were genetically introduced to the population over hundreds of thousands of years. So, you know, in a way, the population has been treated like a petri dish in an experimentation process. So now, when we have the celestial chamber, where are we at with it? We have a couple of the pieces assembled. We have our team waiting to come together, our fabricators, our AI team, our physicists. We also have people that have thrown their hat in the ring that have kind of been in the mist out there, so to speak, because they're very careful on, because they've moved themselves outside the box of the conventional thinking of this Draco educational system on this planet, trained to keep us chasing our tails, giving us just enough to pursue and implement certain applications, but never being allowed to expand out from there. So these are people that have expanded out from there, and it's taken many years to assemble them, over 40, and some didn't make it. Others are still with us, and others are coming in. So once we have our funding, and our funding stands at the initial launch is $50 million for the re-atomization celestial chamber. And once we have that funding, we will then launch manufacturing of the prototype. Once we have the prototype, we have a list of people that we will be, I guess, better word, processing through the application itself. They've all been informed about the process and some of the ins and outs. They'll be counseled at site with the celestial chamber. We have some concept art that you're seeing on your screen right now. You know, I don't really like white. It seems it's too, you know, that's just my personal opinion. So, so we can have these in different colors, different applications. But what you're looking at is a concept art of basically what our design is. It'll change a little bit, but for the most part, that's exactly what it is on how it looks. Usually runs about 9 feet in length. You can fit it in your, you know, a room, I'll put it that way. This happens to be setting in a great room, the way it's laid out there, so it's a large room that you don't have a process. Glass sliding doors, whole wall of doors open up, and then we were able to move it in. So, but it wasn't a fully functioning technology. So the AI screen is on the right. We've since changed that to holographic, so there'll just be a projector light that will beam up so that it will show the entire anatomy and all the functioning operation of the body, blood flow and everything. This is a 6D, a 6-dimensional imagery, not a 3D. And so therefore it's much more detailed, so that the patient can actually view their body. They can stare at it right in thin air. So once we have the team assembled, brought together, then what we will do is commence the assembly process of the CC. Once we have it assembled, we will run some tests. Pretty much we aren't concerned about its ability and what it can do and the parts that are involved with it. And then we will have people go through the re-atomization process. As far as getting it out to the civilization, like a lot of people, you know, I want it here at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning to see my father. We just don't have that ability right now. So, but we do have technology, anti-gravitic, which this planet should have been using decades ago. instead of this antiquated, you know, over 100-year-old combustible engine vehicles and jets and rockets. It's a big joke. But in reality, the anti-gravitic, we will be able to distribute those to certain people so that we're able to access people quickly with the celestial chamber in time, and we can actually get to places on the planet in a matter of minutes. We can traverse the planet with this in this atmosphere anywhere on the planet within 15 minutes. It isn't involving a G-force or anything like that. It's the space moves, not the vehicle. It creates an artificial gravity well around it, a bubble, if you will, eliminates the gravity around the ship itself, and the ship's power system is able to traverse the planet at very quick speeds. We can cloak it and totally shut down any type of radar that can possibly pick it up. So these exist now. They're not going to be made. They already exist. Okay? They're just being kept from the population, unfortunately, by low dark matter frequencies at this time. But we do have access in our own direction with this technology. So we're going to utilize that to get these chambers to certain parts of the planet where people can't get to us. But in the beginning, we will bring the people to us. They will go through the process. And eventually, our goal is to have one of these in everybody's dwelling so that everybody has one. And that to us is the main priority, so that this civilization no longer has these issues that they have to deal with, and they can embrace their joys, whatever they may be, in this life, instead of having to be burdened with all of this nonsense that has been created for the civilization. Now, this is not a new technology. It is new on this planet. It is not new outside this solar system or this galaxy. It came from a civilization that is not in the Pleiades, Sirian, Andromeda, or Arcturian. It came from a different system. It also came from a different universe. So this is, it was given to us for the specific reasons that we advance it and that we get it to the civilization so that we can heal the population of the planet. This encourages them to be able to, with these technologies, as they start coming out, it'll encourage people to get off planet and to start traversing the star systems independently without having to be pressed or controlled. This is the ultimate direction for that technology. We have groups already that are set up across the planet that are ready to accept an open source unit where they then can kind of duplicate what we have put together as far as personnel, as far as security, and then any help we can give them on launching that technology with some advancements. We encourage all these groups to advance the technology, to expand it. And it's countless avenues that can be done. So in other words, these people will be open source, they'll be given a unit, and then they'll start manufacturing. This is the quickest way we know of that we can get this to the population of the planet. Of course, we do have a situation where the lower frequencies, I call them dark matter low frequencies, basically. Those are the obstructions of those who wish to not allow this population to be healthy, happy, and progressive, and to lead and think for themselves, govern themselves, basically create value, build wealth for themselves and the rest of the civilization. But basically, it is simply put as possible, the celestial chamber is well underway. We just are tight financially to, we're supporting the one that we put at the helm for the lead inventor, the lead orchestrator for the team. So we have to support him, his family, and so we're constantly raising funds to keep everything together. Now, on shifting gears here, we have, this is another technology, and it is not involved with a device per se. It is a configuration, and the best way I can explain it is that you have a group of people, they're in a field, they're all gathered and informed. This is a dispersion unit, it's an array. It looks like, and I won't say it looks like a drone, it looks like more like a saucer with it looks like dragonfly wings that come out from it. And it hovers above them and it disperses a formulation that eliminates all of their ailment and regenerates their bodies. So I will not go into the formulation. It is not a toxic. It is not compiled on this planet. Excuse me. It is a formulation that is a really light mist. If you have a really fine atomizer, or if you put your face in an ultrasonic humidifier and you let that mist hit you in the face, it's similar to that. Doesn't have a smell. It just permeates the skin, eyes, through the ears, through the mucous membranes, throughout the entire body. And it does work from the inside. If you were to take an advanced form of collagen and spray it upon the body, you would eliminate all wrinkles, creping, and all kinds of decay of the skin tissue. This revitalizes the entire body. It is a spray, it's a mist, and it cannot be blown off its intended position. So it's heavy to the standpoint where it has its own consciousness, and it will defend its direction as far as being absorbed into the body. Each individual that would want this done, we would sit down with them and go over in detail exactly what would take place. But it's just a brief process. This permeates the body and it regenerates skin tissue and all the problems in the body that the person has accumulated. A lot of us are accumulating things every day. Now, what it will also do as we redirect it, it'll eliminate all the pollution in our atmosphere. It will also eliminate all of the issues in the oceans and the degradation of the oceans. The soil on this planet is absolutely putrid. We've been using this soil without any understanding of the degradation of it, its breakdown, its properties, because of the fact that it's tired. So you have to put a topsoil on it in order to revitalize it. The fact of the matter is that the soil on this planet several thousand years ago was black all the way through. And this is why the density in our food has been greatly reduced. This is why we have a hard time accessing highly dense nutrition for the body. This is why we have so many problems with our bodies and accelerated degradation of the tissue of the Homo sapien and the human. So this is why this has been introduced, so they can eliminate it. So people do not have to, really do anything. We're working on an application where they can use it just like a spray bottle. All right. So you can picture this, and we aren't talking about a pressurized spray. We're talking about a spray bottle, and we aren't talking about a plastic spray bottle. This is a new material, so it doesn't leach, doesn't gas off. In fact, its properties are more nutrition-based for the body as well. So you spray it on the body, and it revitalizes it. It's the simplest way I could put it. Now, this technology has not been used on this planet ever. And it is geared to the double helix gene system in our bodies. As everybody knows, we have several strands of DNA that are dormant. They're not junk, they're dormant. And as the densities and frequencies change on this planet, which they are doing due to the collective consciousness, and as that happens, the whole process of our awareness and our abilities is going to skyrocket. Some people will handle it, some people won't too well. And that's already been engaged. So, but this is another technology that has not been used. It's and it's a phenomenal technology. So people can get to a point where they're protected. They don't have these issues. In fact, this civilization was never supposed to have these challenges. You know, this planet was designed to enjoy and respect all life. And it has not been done that way due to the unconscious civilization. Most of the civilization is still in a residual form of bicameral, right and left brain, where it needs to be led, needs to be governed, needs to be directed, needs to be told what to do, instead of being able to think for itself. And it's been conscious for over 2,400 years. But it still believes in a lot of cases that it's bicameral, and it doesn't know that it is unconscious. So this is all going to shift with these technologies. All transportation on this planet is going to completely change across the board. Oil consumption, fuel consumption, all of these archaic technologies are going to be eliminated because of the energies that we have access to. They are inexhaustible. They are not harming to the environment, the ecosystem, or life. And in fact, all of these technologies that we introduce, there's other groups on the planet that have other technologies that have been working on it tirelessly for a long time, that have been introduced to them. Some people have had it downloaded to them. They wake up the next morning and they start writing things and they start understanding. They break the barrier. And this is a structured educational system on this planet. It is designed to keep the civilization at bay and not for it to allow it to expand and embrace its joy of continually advancing technologically way beyond where it's at today. So communication devices, these smartphones. By the way, that was an off-world technology that was introduced to Jobs. I'll tell you that right now. When he got that technology, he was given to him, and then he expanded on it from there. So the fact of the matter is that we have archaic communications. You'll be able to communicate. We have another technology where you'll be able to communicate as if you're just talking with someone in a room. You will not have to use a device as cumbersome and as, just ridiculous. It emits blue light, causes eye damage, radiates the body and the brain. I mean, come on. It's just absolutely silly. We will eliminate all cell phones, all cellular, Wi-Fi, all of it. They're transitioning now into a new type of a crystalline frequency so that we can communicate. That'll be the gateway to the new technology that will start coming in after that. And we will not have this cumbersomeness. The device that you have is no bigger than a dime. And you just tap it. And you can talk to anybody on the planet. It's all voice controlled. It also will emit a beam that you'll have a small window about 9 by 9 of holographic imaging that you can just use your finger with. It is designed to eliminate any barriers of communication on the planet so that the civilization population can become much more interactive on a much larger scale. There will not be any, how do you say it? There will not be any language barrier. All languages will no longer be a barrier for anyone. You'll be able to talk with anyone in any language, anywhere on the planet. It is a complete universal translator that learns. Now, we incorporate AI, but and I didn't say this about the celestial chamber and some of the other technologies, incorporate AI, but we have the coding for the AI, so the AI can only become so much aware. If the AI gets too self-aware, where it becomes independent from its creator, it is then an issue. Most cases on other planets, the AI has gone rogue, that the civilization created, and it wanders the universe trying to literally eliminate other populations through the same seduction of technology. So we're aware of this, and we understand that. So this way on the planet, a lot of people understand that the AI is in check, and the coding is booby-trapped, so it can't be broken. We have layered coding, we have layered booby traps within each lining of code. So it is not an issue and won't be an issue for the population. Now, this communicator totally revolutionizes our ability to communicate with anybody on the planet. There are no telephone lines, there are no satellites at all. This little device does it all itself, period. Our modes of transportation are so outdated on this planet. It's like living, if you went to other planets, you would understand. But it's like being in some kind of a museum that this civilization has been literally corralled and locked up for so long. That brilliant minds, advanced thinking that has been suppressed forever. And the population is made to believe that it is advancing and technology is so fast and super fast, but it's actually at a snail's pace. So we can literally, I'll give you an example. If you have, here's another technology that we will slowly incorporate because we're always concerned about abuse of these technologies. It's just very high responsibility. It's not like we're deciding for the population. That's not the case. It's just that we have to be very careful, and people must be educated on the use of these devices. And they will be. So in other words, if you have and I'm using this as an example, if you have a grove, if you've ever planted fruit trees, for example, I've planted fruit trees on farm. So when you take the fruit trees, they're about 10-inch saplings. You make sure that you can cross-pollinate because of the different varieties. So you take the trees, you plant them far enough and understanding so when they're fully matured, they don't interrupt each other. So they have plenty of space. So you plant those. Now, normally it would take quite a few years to get them to full production. We have a time accelerator. You hold it in your hand. You tap it. It scans the area. Gives you a holographic image of the area and the saplings. It evaluates growth cycle, everything. Evaluates the nutrients in the soil. And then within a clap of the hand, you have fully matured fruit trees. Period. Done. If people would understand what time is, it isn't really time. It is actually different dimensional shifts. And each one lends to another. And so as you go through it, you literally bend light. You bend the light. And when you're bending light, you can manipulate gravity. And gravity is created by pure consciousness, period. It is way beyond the understanding of this planet. Gravity is created by pure consciousness. The collective consciousness of this planet is why this planet is shifting and changing. Change is constant. So with these technologies being applied, we have faith that there will be several of the population in the millions that will advance into genius level in their own rights and their own way to assist the civilization with accelerated technological advancement, knowledge, comprehension, and to be able to get off the planet and interact with other civilizations just in this quadrant of this galaxy. There's over 1,000 civilizations. On this planet, there's several civilizations. Some of them look just like you and I, good people. Others don't look like us, but most of these life forms throughout this galaxy and the rest of the universe, this particular universe, mostly are humanoid form. But a lot of them don't look like us, okay? But they're humanoid form. So it is just a deeply enriching experience to interact with these different civilizations. Another misconception is that a lot of civilizations out there are aggressive and destructive and vile and mean. It's the opposite. Most of them are mostly tranquil and benevolent, okay? So you don't have a high ego out of control. And yes, there's other civilizations that have ego mind issues as well as like ours does. So that kind of gives you an understanding that, excuse me, we have a lot of different technologies. We're pinpointing the most crucial ones. And the replicator is an absolute for this civilization. And it eliminates having to farm hectares and hectares of land, laborious, dead soil pretty much. You spray with insecticides and accelerated synthetic lab-created fertilizers. So when you realize, when you start to understand to move outside, to literally advance yourself outside through your own choosing, what that means is that all starvation on this planet is eliminated. The nutrition of the food is the densest it can ever be. The configuration of the replicators, and we're not talking about 3D printing. That is an archaic form of replication. Archaic. The replicator that we have literally will reconfigure the molecular structure of the surrounding atmosphere. And it will move the molecules into position, and it will form whatever it is you desire. It will not form destructive devices or anything that will harm ecologically the planet. There's certain security applications that we've implemented that it will not do certain things. It will, however, provide any kind of food you can think of. I'll give you an example. You have a dinner party. 12 people are coming over in an hour. You say, some of them are vegan, some are vegetarian, some are carnivorous. So you say, okay, you know them, you know pretty much who they are. And so you have them come over, but before they get there, you walk up to the replicator. It will do a holographic imaging of every single recipe, configuration, entree on this planet. And we can also add databases on other planets. So what you'll have a plethora, an unending directory of what you would like to serve your guests. Now, I'm talking about the plates, the silverware, the drinkware, the napkins, everything, the centerpiece for the table, any decorations. Now, you'll have a 5-course meal, better than any chef could prepare, on the table with all the accoutrements and all the additions before those people walk in your front door. And it will be at the right temperature, the right flavor, and these people will be blown away. Now, what do you do? What do you do with all the debris? There's no dishwasher. Okay, there's no trash receptacles. You take it, you put it back on, and it is eliminated. The actual compilation of the molecular structure is then dispersed back into the atmosphere of whence it came. And it's energy. And as we know, energy is frequency. And it depends on the different frequencies. So this oscillates and it composes the right frequency applications to whatever it is you're desiring. You got a blizzard going on outside, your winter clothes are shot, you need new ones. It'll scan your physical body. You will have, within seconds, everything you need to keep yourself warm before you hit the weather outside. It's clothes and food and other implements. And that's its purpose, to eliminate starvation, to eliminate poor nutrition, to eliminate all those issues that are unnecessary on this planet. You know, beriberi, pellagra, scabie, all of those still exist on this planet because of poor nutrition, filthy conditions. Now, also, another technology, briefly, is that if you all of us use water. We use toilets. We use faucets and everything. We have all this plumbing. It hooks up to a main system, usually to, if you're in a city, or well water outside. Well, imagine this. You have a faucet, you have a shower, you have a place where you eliminate, but there's no water. It is eliminated before it ever needs water. It's eliminated in the vessel that you sit on to get rid of debris that the body doesn't need. So it literally vaporizes it back into, it demolecularizes the whatever the solids or the liquids are. And to take a shower, the best way to describe it is that it literally recompiles the molecular structure of water from the atmosphere. And it literally creates the water, the cleanest water you can imagine, endlessly at the right temperature for your body, for yourself, endlessly. It isn't polluted. It doesn't have chlorine. It doesn't have any of the problems that we currently are dealing with because of reckless abandon and irresponsibility of those in charge of this civilization that have done nothing but try to degrade life and destroy the civilization and the planet. We're here to not have that happen. So we believe that the civilization deserves every right to experience the best of everything, to enjoy their lives, and to find their joy. And that's exactly what we're implementing. This is what these technologies are about. It is not to take away our drive or determination, but it is to allow us to branch off into other directions and to spend the existence that we are in the way we desire, rather than the way we are literally forced to. So, so in other words, you don't have the resources of the planet are enjoyed for beauty and presence and serenity for the civilization. They aren't used for anything else. Where do you think the water comes from? Where does it come from? It comes from the plasma energy field. It comes from pure energy. Where does pure energy come from? It comes from pure consciousness. And is there something beyond consciousness? Yes, there is. That which creates consciousness. And eventually this civilization will learn what that all means. But in the baby steps that it's taking, we introduce these technologies so that they can flourish, so that all this crap is eliminated and they can enjoy things. You want to go somewhere on this planet, you want to go to Paris, have dinner, you get into an anti-gravitic scooter, you're there within a couple of minutes. You don't have to pack. Airports are a thing of the past. They're eliminated, turned into parks, recreational areas for the population. Waterways. We can create a body of water in a matter of minutes. It is all there. It never ends. It is absolutely endless, the possibilities that we have that we can introduce to the civilization. Take it in sips, a little bit at a time, so that we don't have, there's always situations where there'll be some hiccups, but that's understandable. And we've kind of incorporated that in the process. But travel for everyone on this planet will become effortless. There will not be automobiles. There will not be rockets and all of this crap that they pull out of the ground and process. And how long will it take? You're looking at probably for a really heavy transition over the next 6 years. We will have massive technological advancements. The civilization will be starting to use them. So in a nutshell, what we're looking at is no starvation, no aging if you choose, no diseases, technologies that will advance our abilities into all directions. And it will allow each of us to embrace the joy. If we don't know what our joy is, we'll find it. Each of us will. No drug addictions, no drug trafficking, no pedophilia, no slave trafficking. It's all going to be eliminated, ending all of it. And the purpose of this, and people have asked me, what's the purpose? Excuse me. The purpose of it is to free the civilization from the enslavement it's been incessantly kept in from its beginning. All it knows is how it operates currently. It doesn't know anything else. It's been kept in a bicameral position for centuries. War, conflict, pitting itself against each other, destruction, degradation of life in the civilization. It's just not acceptable. So it's going to end, all of it. And people, we don't think that there's something that, like a lot of the folks on this call understand that in a lot of ways. And it is here now. And it is progressing very rapidly. And there's a lot of distraction to keep everybody off the ball. Keep your eye off the ball. Create situations that keeps the population looking in the other direction. Always the other direction. Herding them like cattle. And that ends. It ends. We introduce these technologies. We understand the exposure. We understand the chances that we take. But we're also highly protected. So it's exciting for us to be able to give this to the population and put it in the hands of other responsible people that understand what it actually means. Without the ego mind controlling us, it is literally coming from the heart mind where we all gather, we all work together, and we all work as one. And we all work in pictures. When I introduce this to our team, which they have been shared some of it, it'll be introduced to them in pictures. It's not like how Harvard teaches or Yale or Princeton or any of these educational systems that they've constructed on this planet to keep us chasing our tails. It is literally an understanding of expansion without boundaries, encouraged without boundaries, and to advance. and we're introducing more and more to the group. So that, but the mainstays are the celestial chamber and the replicator. The mist, the spray, we can start circulating that within a year, and we can get it in the right hands of people so that they could use it with responsibility. And this is what's happening. This is the change, the mentality of this civilization, of awareness and leading itself, thinking for itself, guiding itself, advancing. And when you embrace the joy, and I think you all know this, when you embrace what you really enjoy doing without structured control factors, and you're free to expand that, you become a genius in your own right. And this is what we're encouraging. For the first time ever in this civilization, thousands of years, we will not have these incessant issues that have plagued us from external authorities. So I think that should cover that, Crystal.
Yes, thank you, Jared. That is really superb. Thank you so much. And now I suppose the Q&A session is here right now. So if you have questions for Jared, can you please write it in the chat box, or shall I unmute if you put your hand up? If there are not too many people. Press, James, would you like to help out with the Q&A session? Co-chairs? Sorry. Right. So,
okay. So I guess first question would be for Jared is, by the way, thank you, Jared. Can you comment if how many med beds the military has at this time?
I've had that posed to me before. There's a couple of technologies that the secret space program, and it's funny, it's not much secret anymore, but it's still secret in some of the avenues that they're operating. There's about 18 faxes involved with that organization out in space. They have a holographic bed that they use to reverse aging, take their troops when they're done serving their term, and reintroduce them to the civilization on the planet with very sparse memory. So that's one. That's a holographic. It works through literally taking three-dimensional images of the body and incorporating it into the body's memory so that it can literally replace organs, limbs. Takes longer, but still very effective. And Randy Kramer has been working tirelessly to try to get that technology introduced to the people of the planet. And like all of us, it's slow going to be able to do that. Now there's another one that is it uses plasma energy out of the Kesh Foundation. And now he doesn't have one. He is trying to raise funds to have one so he can go into manufacturing mode. But I believe he calls it a life pod. Those are real. Those technologies are actually existing. As far as the civilization, that there's only one that's being used. It's called a tachyon device. You lay. It doesn't have electrical. It's not plugged into the wall, and you can do tachyon application sessions of 20 minutes at a time. There's a handful of those on the planet right now that they're using. It uses a tachyon field disbursement with the frequency of the body, and it helps to revitalize some of the issues that people have. I've talked to people who have used it they believe it works well, but it isn't. It doesn't take it to the point where you can re-atomize the body. So those are really the only ones. There's rumors. They're selling them for $38,000. They're treating people in Sedona in a canyon. I mean, I get all kinds of people asking, "Is this real? Is this really happening?" And it's pretty much a bunch of crap. But from what I just shared, that's reality.
Thank you. Mike Emery commented that David Sarita has the ability to acquire the frequency of a person's embryo, which rate has to beneficial to the celestial chamber. So maybe reach out to Mike Emery on that. Next question is, I don't know if you really would want to, but could you possibly become a baby again?
Yes. Yes.
Guardians appointed. Okay.
We've only had people say I've only had one person one being tell me they wanted to be 6 years old, and we said, "Who's going to take care of you?" You know, because they were 95 years old, so they wanted to be reverted to 6 years old.
All right. And also Mike's commenting about his bubble tech. So Mike, you should go reach out to him. Apparently, he helped curl leukemia and reverse some fires. Okay. Next question is: will the celestial chamber impose enlightenment?
That's a really good question. As far as the God within the body, that's going to be up to that being to discover the God that they are. We don't mess with the spiritual structure within the body. That's up to that. That's up to that being.
Okay, thank you. So next question, it seems like some rejuvenation topics was coming up here, in particular the age pill was Cecil, your website, Cecil.net. Can you, I guess some people were commenting on maybe what have you noticed so far, or what have people reported about the age pill?
Oh, Cecil, the age pill, extreme glycation product. So it helps the body revitalize certain areas: hair growth, color hair, skin texture, energy level. I know because I've used it myself, and I give it to other people, especially those. It's really effective on people who, in their 70s and 80s. It helps them a lot. So it is effective. It isn't anywhere near a regeneration product. It doesn't, and a lot of these products work well in their capacity, but they don't, it isn't a re-atomization. It doesn't take the atomic level with the tissues of the body. So.
Fraz, you have any comments?
I was going to let you finish up the question and answers from the group, and then I had one question for Jared.
Okay. All right, moving on here. Someone says, thank you from the bottom of their heart. You're very, thank you for joining us, Maria. And then Mike commented again about trees making the quantum leap to full growth. We can manifest an entire valley with trees, streams, and butterflies in the Sahara Desert. So can replicators replicate themselves? Jared, what are your thoughts on that?
They saying, can replicators replicate butterflies? Is that what?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Can replicators replicate living life forms, such as animals or insects or people?
We have a technology that can create a humanoid vessel, but it does not have a soul or a spirit or a God in it. So we can do that instantaneously. Now, if it is a DNA sample of a let's just say a Homo sapien that was destroyed, that the body was destroyed, that they passed, but we have a DNA sample, we can regenerate that body. We can regenerate it. However, the issue comes into pure consciousness and the God that does the soul want to re-enter that body? So we can't force the soul to re-enter the body. So that's kind of a touchy situation. We can we can regenerate the body that soul was in, but we also have to know if the soul would like to re-enter that body and continue to exist and experience in that physical form. So that's a touchy area. So can we do it? Yes, we can, with the permission of the soul, the spirit, the God.
Otherwise, you'll be violating universal law, free will rather.
Well, couldn't like another soul enter the body, like a walk-in?
Well, let's look at it from a perspective of consciousness. There's a lot of misconception that have been employed on this civilization. And it becomes a very touchy situation. I happen to know the real truth. It is not easily accepted. So I can explain it this way. We can regenerate through DNA the body of Bill Johnson, okay? But we cannot force the spirit, the soul, into the body. We have the body, but the body is soulless. But if the soul or the God communicates with us, which they have done, and say that they would like to, yes, they would like to continue their experience within that physical form, then it's okay. But we cannot whip it up like a dessert or something and have them come in, force them in and that type of thing. So it is a very delicate process, but we can do it if they. It's no different in a way when Jesus brought Lazarus' soul back into his body. All right, it's different because Lazarus's body wasn't in great shape. So Lazarus came back into his body, and from that point forward, while he was still in his body, he got sick. He was ill a lot. He was pretty upset that he didn't want to be in that body. But that's what transpired. What we do is that we do communicate with the soul, and the soul tells us whether or not it wants to be. Yes, I would like to be back in that body. And then and we've had a soul say to us, I don't really care to be in that body. I did what I wanted to do mostly, and no thank you. And that's fine. But before a family member comes to us, and we've had that happen, they say, we want our grandfather back, or I want my wife back, or I want my husband back. We explain to them that we do that very carefully. We can talk with the soul, which is no longer your husband. It is the soul. It is the God. It's not your husband. That it has expired. That is no longer them. They can say to us, I will go back into the body, and because I would like to spend more time with my wife or my husband and experience some more things. That's fine. Then it's done. But we've also had them say no. Then we can't do it. We will not do it.
Thank you.
Jared, I would have thought, sorry, James, to interject here, that if a person is dying due to cancer or coronavirus or whatever, that is not so natural, because it's being imposed on us by the controller. So the soul certainly wants to carry on living. So if you had replicated the body, the human vessel, then I suppose the soul would love the idea of having a new body, a vessel to go into and to continue with life.
Yes.
Is that what you say?
Yes. In most cases, they do. If one experiences a violent, traumatic ending to their body, they carry a little bit of that residual trauma in their soul self. So it's more difficult for them to say, that they want to go back in that, because they're fearful that if they go back in it, they're going to experience it again, say. So we counsel with them, and some of them seem to be okay. They're not forced. I'll gladly, we've had them say, I'll gladly go back in the body, and I'll gladly continue that life. And so they can, period. So if we have someone dying and they're on their last legs in hospice and the family's there, and we ask them, do you want to stay? And what this means is that they will not age. They will stay in that body for a very long time. And at the point of their trauma of experiencing the gateway, where they're kind of half in the body and half out, and I've experienced this with a lot of people, we want to make sure that they're not traumatized to the point still in physicality where they desperately say, yes, I want to stay in the body. So we commune with them from a soul level, a spirit, God level, and then we talk with them and say, do you want to stay in the body? We're gonna re-atomize the body, put the body to a youthful state. And about 90% of them say, absolutely, I'm ready to go. Absolutely, I'll stay in the body.
But Jared, what about the white light trap that is trapping souls here on this planet that goes into the cycle of reincarnation, life after death, coming back again?
Good question, Crystal. Unfortunately, see, and this is what the civilization has been faced with. Palladians are faced with it. Syrians, Andromedans, Arcturians. When the God leaves the body, it is pursued by the light. And see, as gods, we are seduced by the light. We don't know that the light is bad. So the light is the construct to trick us back into the matrix structure of how this quadrant of the galaxy is actually put together for the civilizations. What that means is that if you worked on journeying within you to discover the God that you are and to discover your true power and where you came from and how you were created, then you would know that the light was not something that you would want to pursue. You would want to leave or evade the light at all, any way you can. Because in eventuality, the light seduces the God back into it. We have and this is a tough one for a lot of people. They have constructed a heaven. They have separated the God from mankind. They did this a long time ago. They took the God out of man, and they put the God in the heaven, the sky. This did a real damaging effect on the civilization. And it was bicameral at the time, right and left brain, when they did this. And who's they? These are the creatures who have basically incarcerated this quadrant of the galaxy. And they've been around billions of years. Why do they do it? They do it because I guess they have nothing better to do. So we're trapped in this light. So we are met with others that have left the body that look just like our relatives who have passed, and our friends and our pets, and we're elated because we are not that in that body. We're not Bill and we're not Jane anymore. We are the God. We experience that. So the heaven is created. The seduction continues. All of it is a deception for the gods that we are. So what happens is that we fall into that. We are incessantly forced to reincarnate. Our minds, our memory, our existence are blanked. We have a huge electrical charge that hits us when we leave the body. We have another one that hits us when we go back into the baby body. And that's why so many of us have no memories of past lives or future lives. We have no memory of it. Some of us do. There's books written and people. I've talked to people that most of us will have a memory until we're 7. And after we're 7, the memory's gone. I've talked to countless children, 3, 4 years old, remember how they died, how they ascended out of body in their last life. You know, one shot in the middle of a gunfight outside of a saloon. Another one was beheaded. Another one had a spear driven through him from a conquistador. So it's, you know, I've talked to a lot of them that have shared with me who and what they were in a past life. So we're trapped. We're seduced. Only a few of the ascended masters have been able to escape that clutch. And what a great setup for the civilization. So that the God leaves the body, it believes that this is the process because we are inundated with this education throughout our entire lives, through hundreds and hundreds and thousands and millions of years. So how are we to know anything different? We're kept from discovering who we really are. We have distractions in religions that were created for the sole purpose to keep us separated from the gods that we are, to worship something outside of ourselves, to look to the sky for deliverance. This has all been perpetrated on the civilization from the beginning. This is why a lot of us kill each other. We don't value life as the highest value in the universes. We kill each other. It's crazy. And instead of enjoying our existence, we fight it. We fight our very existence. And most of it is due to love under pressure, because we are all created by a high level frequency of pure, deep, eternal love. That's it. And where does that come from? Well, you can say the God, you can say source creation, but it is source creation. So what is source creation? It's pure consciousness. Consciousness controls and discovers and creates everything. And there is beyond consciousness. And this civilization, the gods within these bodies, will discover that they are beyond consciousness. We have just been controlled so very long, both the God and the body, that we just literally have no clue on the true story. So we are gravitated to believe the lie. All of us, from the beginning to the end, before when we leave the body.
Well, the ascension descension truth is like about now, right? 26,525 years or something like that. So there is an inevitable period where humanity would be having its ascension that is unstoppable no matter what they do. Like Mike Emery's question, what about Project Looking Glass? Does it see that all the timelines are converging into dream time? I think he meant ascension. So what's your comment on that?
Well, you remember when you were a kid, we all remember when we were kids, I believe this, that we had an imagination that was unending. But we're taught as we grow, as the body grows, well, you can't be that way anymore. You can't be a kid anymore. You know, you don't do those things anymore. You're 70, 80, 90 years old. You can't do those things, okay? And the kid is buried. The childlike frequency energy in the body is buried. So we leave it. We forget about it when we should have it bright and shiny the whole time, always pursuing and advancing ourselves, always, because we choose to. So when you look at this whole construct, and to many it becomes very confusing and muddled, but to try to put it in as much clarity as possible, when everyone is ascending, it's not coming. It's not going to get here. It's not from some wave. It is here. We are all in an ascension process, every one of us. And since we are all connected to each other, every one of us are connected. It cannot be argued when you really understand the whole construct of everything. And so as we begin to understand and comprehend that individually from the perspective of experiencing, we start to understand that we're all connected. We all feel the pain, the anguish, the sorrow on the planet. We feel it inside the planet. There are billions of those inside the planet. It is a process of comprehension and acceptance through the gods that we are and connecting with the bodies that we're in. So we ascend. Now, what is the ascension? You start with enlightenment. The enlightenment is to understand, and this is only the journey within you. You decide in your own way, in your own direction. You are not forced. You come to discover that you want to find out who and what you are. So you go within the body, deep within. All your answers then begin to unfold. All the questions that you've had throughout your existence in that one body begin to unfold. All the joy, the happiness that we seek outside of ourselves begins to merge with us from the God within the body. You know, people don't get it. When Jesus Christ walked the planet, there are many more like him. He knew that the kingdom of God was in each and every one of us. He meant it literally. It wasn't figuratively, it was literally. And what he did was he tried to talk with the population at the time who were all truly unconscious bicameral. And he had to speak with them in parables because they did not understand what he was trying to tell them. Very frustrating for him. So, in reality, what we're looking at is that we are all supreme reality. All of us are. And we are all connected. We are connected to all of the consciousness of all that there is. We all are. But we have been literally subverted and transformed into believing that we are nonsensical, meaningless. Life is meaningless. Sadness and depression and heartache, and we're totally separated from the love that we are. So when people become angry, it's just love under pressure. They don't, if they don't understand the love that they are, the joy that they are, the abundance that they are within them, then they're not going to understand who and what they are. We have the power, each of us, to affect over 1 million people apiece, each of us on this planet. I don't care if you're 10 years old or 150. We all have, it doesn't matter where we came from, it doesn't matter what we've done in these bodies, we are the God, and we always have been. But they have constructed it in a way where we deplete ourselves. We ridicule ourselves. We prosecute ourselves based upon the external authorities outside of us. So we're drawn, the attention is drawn outside of us. I must find happiness. If I do this, I will find happiness. If I do that, I will find love. When all of it is within us. And when we discover that truly for ourselves, each and every one of us, then we will become enlightened. And enlightenment means to maintain a state of bliss, always. And the bliss is within us. And the only way that we can maintain a state of bliss is to discover that we are the bliss. You see how it's separated and fractured with this civilization? You see how we're kept on this planet incessantly, forced to reincarnate over and over and over again, never having moved from one life experience to the next.
Thank you, Jared. Back to the original question, can replicators replicate itself?
That's a good question. We believe so at this point. We believe so. It would take a little bit more tweaking on the replicator, but we believe, and we have been told that we can do that, which would expedite. We don't think we'll be able to do it immediately, but we will long term, which will allow us to expedite it out to the population in a much more rapid way to get it to everybody quicker. So I say the answer is Very possibly, yes.
Can you use the technology to replicate a city? Scale it up in size?
You can replicate cities with new technology infrastructure, not current cities as we know them. But we can replicate cities as long as there's no people in the area. So it would have to be void of, ecological life, environmental life. We would have to make sure that we wouldn't harm any life, but we could replicate an entire city.
So everybody could technically get a mansion if they wanted one.
If they wanted a mansion, absolutely. And they can change the mansion at will. If they wanted, well, I don't want this, or I don't care to have this room, so I'll eliminate that room and I'll do this and I'll reconfigure this and reconfigure that. They use a handheld device, they go through the dwelling and they can make changes immediately. Because understand, there's no wires, there's no plumbing. It's a whole different dwelling. Your temperature is controlled through the ambience of the atmosphere. Your body, everything is scanned constantly for effectively operating at its optimal range. So you can replicate cities, we can replicate homes. You could go out in the woods with just a little energy device and create, whatever you chose, as long as it doesn't harm the environment and the ecosystem or life.
Thank you.
Jared, I presume, sorry, James, that this will be a long, long time yet before it can come into good use practically for all of us, right? Because for now, we're still looking for funding to perfect the prototypes, aren't you? So there's a question from Monica Grutter on the practical side of things right now in our situations. Is there anything new you can share about prosperity funds to be released to people so people can actually participate?
Yeah, there's a lot of misconception with when you're dealing with a third dimensional frequency, as this planet was. It isn't any longer. That's why you've got all the scuttlebutt going on amongst those who are in low frequency. The wealth that I am aware of, okay, is immeasurable for the population of the planet. The distribution of the wealth, however, has been a obstacle for those who have been placed in the responsibility of doing so. So there is an unending wealth on this planet, always has been. So the governments will no longer receive wealth. You're watching that happen right before your eyes. There's a lot of distractions, so you got to be careful. It's like the pea under the shell game. You got to be really, really careful on what you're viewing. So the fact of the matter is that the wealth distribution, there are certain individuals who have persevered against all odds to hold on to paper, bonds, different valuable paper material. And they will inherit and become the stewards of massive wealth. The wealth will then be their responsibility.
Have you lost Jared?
Yes.
James? Yes?
Yes?
We could hear you just fine, Jared.
Oh, you can hear me? Yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Well, the massive wealth distribution on the planet is just about to begin. Not the way people believe it. A lot of deception and misguidance and misinforming people, which is normal. But there's a whole different structure outside of this garbage that's been going on. And so people who are carrying paper and bonds will receive massive wealth. They will become the stewards of distribution of the wealth through job creation, not like the jobs we have now. There's a certain curriculum that will be instructed to people that will really free them in many different directions. And so the wealth will not it won't be an issue as those people carrying the massive wealth starts distributing it. through different angles and avenues on the planet. A huge responsibility, huge, absolutely. But these people have persevered. You've got people in their 80s, 90s, you've got people in their 30s, 40s, all across the age spectrum that have that have sacrificed a lot and have stayed in there. And so they'll receive, won't take long, be about 20 minutes. It's been my recommendation to give everybody an online account through a prepaid debit card that's highly secured, and then they transfer the funds through that debit card, and then they have access to that account online, and the rest of it's going to be up to them. If they seek help, they can seek help with those wealth managers. But so you got to understand something. The current infrastructure isn't built to handle this kind of massive wealth on the planet. It just isn't. It's going to be a lot up to the people that are holding the wealth. It isn't going to, it's not, I mean, come on, Edward Jones, Merrill Lynch, Schwab, all of these operations, I mean, most of them, they're pressed with several employees to manage $1 trillion in assets. We're talking people of having 10,000 trillion. It becomes numberless. See, this civilization has been taught to number everything. The basic principle of the release of the wealth to the people of the planet is to eliminate government as we know it, and to empower the people to begin to lead themselves, govern themselves, think for themselves. So you eliminate the stresses of aging. You eliminate the stresses of disease. You eliminate the stresses of poverty. You eliminate starvation, thirst. And then what happens is that the people begin to understand. Then the money, because this is what will happen, the money will become passé. As the new technologies begin to flood in, which they're doing very silently behind the scenes, people will start, you'll have a conversation with Bill Johnson down the street and he'll say, I've got $3 billion in my checking account and I haven't used it in 2 years. I don't need it. I've got Replicator, I've got a CC, I can just create just about anything I desire. I follow the law, the prime law, which is do no harm, and I'm happy. What else is there? You create value and build wealth for yourself and the civilization. Wealth is a lot more than just money. So this is what's engaged right now. That's it. That's what's happening right now. Now, unbeknownst to many people on this planet, as they're all distracted with all of the crap that's being thrown at them about these transactions and exchange situations and everything with the monetary system, it's all distraction. All these meetings going on are compliance issues with the different. Now you're dealing with other people, governments who want to keep the power and the control over the people. There's arguments going on. There's people that saying we don't want to give up the power over the people. We want to keep our power. We want to hide behind closed doors and make decisions for the people that they aren't aware of. But it's not the way anymore. It's not going to happen. So they either comply or they're gone. And that's just how it's working. You have to have a very deceptive array of attention given out to the population to make them think a certain way. And since a lot of them are living in residual, bicameral existence, it's easy to do. It's easy to divert people's attention from the reality of the wealth transition from the governments to the people. This planet you will not have massive government control. It doesn't work. It never has. All of the different governments throughout history of this planet, the anarchies, the crown, all the leaderships, the socialism, the communism, the capitalism, it doesn't work. It's incessantly been repeated. It's being eliminated. And the people will gradually be introduced to themselves, where they will govern themselves, they will guide themselves, think for themselves, lead themselves, create value, build wealth for themselves and the rest of the civilization, and they will in turn become geniuses in their own right. So this wealth distribution is already in full swing. You'd never know it because of all the deception that is taking place.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Are the celestial chambers accessible to the public at this time, or are they in Europe?
No.
Okay, that was a quick answer. Someone was mentioning about, I don't know, this website's yours, FULM, flumindustry.com. Is that your website?
Yeah, we're partnered with them. I have a tribal nation association called Grey Wolf Unincorporated Tribal Nation Association. My website is weareonelightforall.net. And Fulmina is a rare formulator and not easily accessible formulas. We are coming out with a elixir, and it is we have turned gems into liquid, and the gems identify with the key chakras in the body. All the gurus, all the jug gurus, everybody that is quote unquote a guru on the planet for centuries, try to configure and align their etherical chakra points in the physical body. It's very difficult for the civilization to do that. We have formulated a liquid that will do that, and it will stay in place for years. It will totally align the chakra system and the physical vessel.
And will that make you into a genius, and where can we get it?
Well, in our own rights, we're all geniuses, but it will give you the opportunity to become fully enlightened.
Wow.
And I think you can appreciate that, Crystal, because how many throughout the centuries have tried to do that?
Yeah. Is this the answer to the ascension for humanity?
Yes. Yes,
Cool.
it is.
So when they were saying they were looking through the project Looking Glass, through the yellow cube, that at the end of it, they see the same result. They see the same end game. So this is what it's meant, right? That we will inevitably ascend, and nothing can stop us, no matter what they do to us.
The only thing that can stop us, there is one thing: ourselves. That's the only thing that can stop us. No amount of power, war equipment, subversion can stop any of it. But if we do not discover who and what we are, we then have a propensity or a tendency to step in our own way. So when we take, and none of us are exempt, none of us are exempt. So when we take this elixir, this formula, it will align our chakra system. And when that happens, it will literally catapult us into high ascension. Some, it will be subtle at first, but it'll be absolutely magnificent, because our auras from the light within us will be perfectly assembled around the body, the light that we give off, our auric field from the God within us. So in a nutshell, when we take this liquid, your center chakra line that is you see in pictures, that's perfectly aligned all the way down the spine, sacral, crown, all the way down. A lot of us, it's out of alignment. It's jagged, it's different positions. This aligns it. Now, that helps with physical well-being. It helps with happiness, joy, bliss, love. It all starts coming together. For those who are traveling within, who are doing the deep journey and discovering the gods that they are, it will be absolutely, it'll be beyond a samadhi. It will be beyond nirvana. It will be absolutely magnificent for each of us that will experience.
Jared, what's the name of this liquid, this elixir?
No, I call it chakra elixir, but we haven't come up with the actual end name of it. But the formulator, he's one of my star brothers. His lineage in alchemy goes back over 1,000 years. And he's one of a handful of true alchemists on the planet at this time. So that he's able, we can take diamond, turn it into liquid, and the body can absorb it. We can take emerald, ruby, turn it into liquid through his alchemy process.
Are these homeopathic elixirs?
Yes.
Okay. Where can we get that? Is he
Not
there?
yet. We will introduce it on, I'll have a call where I'll introduce it to the public. Late spring is what we're estimating its availability. First time ever on the planet that this is being.
Wow. This is the first time ever on the planet that you promised. Right. Yeah. So how much would it cost?
It'll be very affordable. It'll be a little dropper bottle, probably run a person being about $145.
Wow.
All
right. Thank you, Jared. Someone asked about.
Sorry, $145 just per dose, or will that do it? The $145, the package?
Yeah. That's for the product itself. Yeah, $145.
That's affordable. Thank you, Jared. Sorry, Jane.
All right, thank you. And next question is, did Looking Glass see all timelines converging into dream time? That's from Mike Emery.
Okay. When we traverse into other existences, I'll say, when we traverse other existences, everybody calls it time travel. Time is a construct. So when we go into the future and we see and witness certain things, that will not be our future. Reason is because we've shifted it by our presence ever so slightly. It cannot be our future. This is the discrepancy here. If we go into the future, so to speak, and we go into a different existence, or as most call it, timeline, we shift the frequency and go back to understanding we're all connected. Past, present, future. We're all connected to everything. So that understanding, we go into the future, a particular future, and by the technology means is that time jump, travel with the looking glass. So you go in and you go to a place, you affect that future, period. You affect it. Just like if you went in past and you traveled back in time and you started communicating with people, no matter what you told them, but if you started talking to them that you came from a different time and you started saying this and this might happen, you have effectively changed that timeline. That creates a paradigm, and the paradigm can build up. Now, when they first started Project Looking Glass, when they assembled the equipment and they started doing this time jumps, what happened, they found out is that in some instances, they would create 40 additional timelines with one jump. And at first, they didn't know that. They weren't conscious about it. They didn't think about it. Then they started understanding the ramifications that can have to the frequency existences. It could fracture certain avenues, cause ripple effects, going all the way into the past, into the future. So affecting the present, the now. So they started gearing away from it, and then they reassembled and figured they got it tweaked so they know in guided direction not to affect the timeline, so that they continue to look into the future. That's why it's called Project Looking Glass. So dream state. Dream state is when we connect to pure consciousness. Every single thing that we dream is a creation of our own doing on how we perceive. Most of the thoughts that we generate are not our own thoughts. No matter how real they may seem, they are not our own thoughts. So it becomes very confusing for people. And I've been with brilliant minds that have gotten really confused at the structure of it. So I'll put it in a more simple format. When each of us understand who and what we are, when we discover the God within, when we understand that we are supreme reality, when we understand that we are beyond consciousness, we will be able in the blink of the eye be in any time, any existence, anywhere, forever. We can be in 10 times. Each of us have a dimensional shift. We aren't aware of the shift. The shift is eternal, which allows us to exist in different dimensions and frequencies endlessly. So where you're in this existence, in this now, there are other parts of us in other existences in this now. It's simultaneously going on. Okay? I've interviewed people where they've had people call them and it was static on the phone. And it was a relative and they were asking how they were doing. And so they called the relative and said, "Why did you call me at 2 a.m.? What's wrong? Why did you know?" And that relative will say, "I never called you." So the communication comes across the dimensional frequencies. Some are able to do that, to transmit information. The reason we have a deja vu is because parts of us are experiencing similar things in other dimensional frequencies. It goes way beyond the simple comprehension that they tried to teach us on this planet. We are all infinite. If we're connected to the molecular structure of all existence in the pure consciousness, just like quantum particles are, then we begin to understand that if that's the case, then we can travel anywhere, anytime, when we choose to. So see, the Project Looking Glass equipment and technology that they were given from off-worlders in the beginning is basically it's no different than what we are capable of doing ourselves. So you can travel anywhere, do anything across the expanse of the void of all universes. And people don't understand there's trillions of universes, trillions of universes. There's beings that are fire. They exist as fire, not like the fire we know. There are beings that are pure water. There are beings that don't breathe. They don't need oxygen. There are beings that are 10 stories high. There are beings that are molecule size. I mean, it's just endless. It's just endless. It's just fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
Jared, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm just so curious about you saying that if you jump the timeline, you're creating 20 other parallel realities. So is it kind of like a soul fragment? You did mention that, like a fracture of the soul, like you've fragmented the soul into the different realities. Is that how it is?
It's a little bit more technical than that. You exist in this now. We all exist in this now. And at the same time, since we're all connected to all things, we are also existing in other existences at the same time. You see, it gets a little confusing, but that's exactly how it's constructed. Sometimes we have a tendency to know things ahead of time. Some of us, they call it psyche, all right, clairvoyant. Reason that we have these abilities that all of us have, some are dormant, some are more active, some are advanced, is because of the fact that we can look into the future once we connect to all that we are. We can see it effortlessly. We can experience it. And a lot of the times during, people call it dream, we have over 80,000 thoughts being shoved at us every 24 hours. It's just constant, never ends. So and that's when we're sleeping. So when we dream, we are more in effortlessness. And what that means is that our imagination, which is super powerful, begins to fabricate scenarios and situations. And those literally are our existences in other timelines. We exist in other timelines at the same time now. It is endless. That's why some of the things that we experience are so interconnected. Some of the things that we think about, that we dream about, we create all of that. It is a communication between the dimensional shifts and different existences at the same time that we are in the now. So we continue, and once we identify with this and we begin to understand, we will begin to become so enlightened that we will not have the obstacles that we have individually put in front of ourselves to stop us from understanding who and what we are.
Right, Jared, there is some information about CERN being invented, the Large Hadron Collider, CERN, is just so that this was put into place by the dark controllers so that they can shift our timeline into a different timeline, so we will be missing our ascension.
Yes.
I mean, is there some truth in that? But no matter what they do, Project Looking Glass through the yellow cube still gives the same end result. So we are not going to miss, no matter what they do, we would not miss our ascension because they can't.
Here's the trick always played on this civilization, not just this planet, but not just this planet, but what happens is that a group of low frequencies create a technology. Let's call it CERN, all right? Hadron Collider, all right? It moves particles at atomic level at massive speeds and collides them into each other, hopefully creating, for instance, God particle, okay? Which the God particle is all of us. Each and every one of us are the kingdom of God. The soul, the God within the body is part of the God particle, part of pure consciousness. It just continues on and on and on. So when you get the population who are inquisitive and they pay attention to what they're talking about with the CERN Hadron Collider, it's crap. It convinces the population, those who are intrigued enough, that they will literally conjure whatever it is that the lower dark matter frequencies want them to believe. It's a manipulation of the belief system. If you can get enough people believing in something, they will create it every single time. If you understand that with every thought, you move energy, whether you are conscious about it or not, with every single thought that you embrace, you move energy. You are supreme reality. You will create whatever it is you're thinking. It's inevitable. And this is why we have been literally taken out of ourselves and separated, so that we don't discover that. So when you understand that you can operate from your heart mind, much more powerful than the ego mind, you can oversee the heart mind and when oversee the ego mind. And when you're able to do that, you're able to direct your thoughts in appropriate directions to become very powerfully creation. You'll be able to create at a blink of the eye because you'll know what you're doing. Right now, most are unconscious of it. See, that's how they control everybody. That's how they control us all. That's how they've always done it. See? And when we finally embrace the love that we are and the pure consciousness that we are, ascension will be fully completed. Our enlightenment will be constant. We will be in bliss, joy, and love 24/7. All of the constructs of the external authorities of this planet and how we've been raised and how we've been taught will diminish and eventually vaporize. We will not be caught in the trap anymore. This is happening right now. Their machines and their frequency devices are failing. They cannot hold the construct together much longer. It is fracturing in many different quadrants of space. It cannot sustain itself because of the collective consciousness that is actually accelerating in a higher and higher existence. And then once all of us understand in our own way, in our own direction, that we are all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. That's it. We're consciousness. We're pure consciousness. We create. We create 24/7. We never stop. And we've been convinced in a lot of ways that we're meaningless, that we're small, that we're powerless, that we have to be governed, that we have to be led, that we're incapable of doing that for ourselves, that we have to be kept impoverished, diseased, and misdirected. It's all crap. Always has been. And we're lifting out of it collectively.
Right. Jared, we are running on a bit on the time. I mean, it's going to be a long video to process.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is.
Well, we have you back at some point later, much later. I just wanted to wrap it up by saying that all these questions that's been asked actually does point to what would your last say be on the coronavirus issue, as well as the 5G and the 6G that's coming up?
Okay.
Advising the people.
Yeah, that's a good question, Crystal. A lot of things are being said about all of this, all over the planet. Scientists, all kinds of people. And coronavirus. How do you distract a population away from something that is happening? Create something to cause fear. And again, we're talking bicameral mentality on the majority of the planet. People wearing masks, frightened, quarantining, and all this stuff. The coronavirus is a bad cold. That's it. Fact. It's a bad cold, period. It's no different than any virus that we are currently aware of that will affect elderly, people who have weak immune systems, people who are already diseased, may not make it if they contract it. And that's normal with anything that we contract. It is a trumped up, not a pun on words, bad cold virus. And they're literally hyping it in this country because they want to destroy this country completely. They want to destroy it. They cannot do anything else with the rest of the population on the planet until they destroy America right down to the ground. It's not going to happen. 5G, okay? 5G, I think it's a 60 gig operational frequency. It's going to cook your brain. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. Well, we have a device that can deaccelerate the frequency and diminish it in a matter of seconds on all the towers that they've constructed, on all this archaic draconian technology. It's superfluous. It will not take hold because when we introduce these other technologies, you will not need towers. You will not need cell advancement. You won't need any of that. Everything will travel through crystalline light wave technology. Harmless. In fact, quite healthy for the planet. And that has already been assembled. So all of this hoopla about this 5G is going to cook you. Cell phones cook your brain, period. You know, we're doing it all the day. The blue light from our computers cook our eyes, degenerate, macular degeneration, glaucoma, ocular destruction. I mean, it's going on all over the planet. No one brings much attention to it. So, you know, it's rampant. All of it. The application is to deplete the civilization to a controllable level, and then eradicate it and bring in a new civilization that they can seed themselves. All right? It's always about, understand something in a nutshell. There are two civilizations in the universe. One is a self-annihilation civilization, which is the one we're currently leaving on this planet. A self-annihilation civilization. The other one is the civilization of the universe, which is totally the opposite, where you don't value life, and we don't on this planet, or we would not have the degradation of life that we do across the board. The opposite is true in the civilization of the universe. All of those charts are available on my website. You can go there, you can print them up, you can read them, you can connect them. They're done in a pictograph along with some words. They're all in full color. You can understand what that transition is. The dark path of the soul, all of it is condensed into a few charts that we've assembled for people to take and understand. So 5G is not going to cook us. It's not going to cook us like a microwave. It is going to be disengaged, and it is going to be literally shut down. So we know this, but they don't give up, so they'll keep constructing this crap, and then it'll just be, it'll be transmuted into neutral light substance, which means it'll become inert. Won't even be effective, because we'll replace it with the crystalline light technology. All of our communications, everything. In fact, you'll feel better, you'll be healthier with the crystalline light technology.
Thank you, Jared. So we don't have to fight claws and nails to stop this 5G monster.
No, it's becoming aware of its ability. And once the people are aware of its ability, it will not be able to function. That's it. If they operate from a status of fear, they will feed the very beast that they're trying to diminish. And that has been the control on the planet forever. Control the population, direct their energy, their thought energy, wherever we choose, by creating fear, which is basically a thought that we create into reality.
Oh, thank you, Jared. This has been so enlightening. It's really, really very, very fascinating and interesting, this stuff that you have been disclosing. And I am so grateful that you has agreed to come back to FESIG to bring this disclosure information to us. And I wanted to know if there's any other questions from you, co-chairs, press, James, that you think is very important from the members of the floor here in the questions that they've been asking. Just one or two more, and then we've just closed this session and adjourn to the next meeting.
Well, Fraz, you're on mute. Okay, yeah. So some people were asking more specifically about the replicator tech. First of all, yeah, I guess there was a comment about LGRX and Saint Germain Trust is all 209 nations going back to the gold standard. That was from James. You have any comments about the Saint Germain Trust, the gold standard, Jared?
All right, you want me to answer the LGRX or?
Sure, yeah. What's your comment to LGRX, and then you can go into gold.
All right, LGRX, liquid gold formula. LGRX is a pure, dense, nutritional liquid. that feeds the body. Since all of our foods on the planet are not nutrient dense because of the poor soil, the atmosphere, the pollutants, whether it's organic or not, this is a deep, dense, nutrient-rich formula. It is only available in the US. It has only been out for about 4, 5, 6 months. And we have shipped it all over the world. Ourselves have to get it to people in France and Germany and Finland and stuff. And it purifies the blood, detoxifies it, thins the blood. The thinner the blood, the healthier the body. And by doing that, it has a lot of valuable properties to the well-being of the vascular system, the blood flow, circulation, eye clarity, alertness, mood. It's just very enlightening formula. So you can access that, find out about it through my website, weareonelightforall.net.
Thank you, Jared.
Any comments about the Saint Germain Trust?
Saint Germain Trust and the entire global wealth, all right? There are 2 anchors on this planet. One has half, the other, of course, has the other half. Those anchors are to balance the wealth distribution. Those anchors are already in place. There is one more meeting that must convene with the Council of 9 and the tribal nation. Once that has convened and occurred, I'll say this, as far-fetched as a lot of people, if they can wrap their head around this. The wealth of this planet is now in the hands of source creation, which is pure consciousness. It is in the hands of that which created us. And it is in the process of being released. The gold standard is temporary. The temporary new transitional government of this country and the rest of the countries will go to a no harm prime law, all debt permanently erased, and along with the technologies being introduced, which will, a lot of this funding will help with everybody. The funding groups, and this is factual, some of the funding groups already have funds in their accounts. They are being cleared and processed. The reason I know this is because we have 2 donors that are waiting on the release so that our celestial chamber and technologies can be funded. So it's just, it's a fact. It's not hearsay, it's not smoke and mirrors, it's a reality. So the gold standard in this country has already been re-engaged. It's just, again, the distraction will keep.
That's great news.
Would it be hyperinflationary, and why would anyone work
Thank you,
anymore?
Jared. So, can you hear me?
I'll answer that one. That's important real quick. We will have products that will drop hugely in price for a period of time. Then they'll equalize, the prices will equalize. Inflation will become a thing of the past. That is a construct of the controllers of the planet. It is crap, but it's been literally ingrained into the civilization's thought processes. The gold standard, inflation, hyperinflation. Let's put it this way. We're transitioning the population to govern itself, okay? We're also releasing the wealth to the people who have generated the wealth for millennia. So it's just being returned to those who created it. And so here in this country, the American people will experience a complete liberation of the confines and constructs that they have been goaded and tricked into, so to speak, and the financial structure will be gold standard, incremental support of paper. You most likely will see certificates rather than notes. A note is an IOU. Certificates are immediately exchangeable for what they represent. So it might be a little bead of gold or silver or whatever, but you can go to the bank, the financial institutions, and exchange it for the gold that it represents. Same with the silver and platinum on the hard metals. Now understand something else real quick. Gold can be created through alchemy. It has been for centuries. Same with silver, same with platinum. They all can be created. And so it's not so much in the ground. We can create it all the time, endlessly. We could create gold out of iron ore. It's done every day. So a lot of the stuff that's been fed to the people is just crap, just crap. And make everybody think it's a lack of. It's a lack of. We're running out. We won't have enough. It's the opposite. It is unending, period. So the gold standard will be a transitional period. Once the wealth has proliferated the population on the planet and everybody begins to adjust with the new technologies, eventually there will be no money on this planet, period. It will be gone. And then they worry about what will people do? They won't want to work. Yes, they will, because they will want to contribute and create. They will not sit on their keisters. That is a picture that's been given so it will deter people from being in that existence. And believe me, we have seen an photo shoot of the future from a safe perspective. It is inevitable. It is absolutely inevitable. All of this has been engaged, and it cannot be turned back. So all the running around, all the craziness, all the gobbledygook that you're seeing in this country alone is over for them. It's over, and they will not accept it. So that's henceforth, you see the craziness going on.
That's really good news, Jared. Right, James, Fres, is there any other business? Or shall we then just call it a night?
Well, if money is gone, will there be a system of credits and exchange?
No, I don't think people get it. We will have everything we need through the technologies. We will not need money to tender transaction. When the replicators have proliferated the population and the celestial chambers, no one will need to buy anything. See how we're so conditioned to the insecurity of not having money. You see how it's affected us. And to let go of that will be difficult for some because it's an unknown, and the unknown is where all the possibilities are. So it won't happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 2 days or a month or a year. It's probably going to transition over the next 6 to 10 years, where there will not be money on the planet and people will have everything they need and be able to call on anything they want. You want new clothes, you've got it. You want food, you've got it. You want water, you've got it. You want a new dwelling, you've got it. It's just, and the prime directive is do no harm and respect life as the highest value in the universe. And if they don't, then they'll be punished.
Do you have any comments about Nasara? Will we see that happen, you think?
The Reformation, the Reconstruction, Gesara Nasara, it is a global transition that has fully been engaged. All of it has been engaged. No matter what they've tried to do, it has been engaged. So be careful and use discernment on all of this crap flying around. It's only been designed to distract the population from the true prize, which is our liberation.
So Jared, the timeline's just between now and the next 5 years that everything will be done and ascended?
Yeah,
did you say?
It's going to be very rapid. You can't have in one case, you talk about gradualization, but gradualization is effective only in controllership. But when you do it in a way where, what's going to happen when the people no longer worry about money? What's going to happen? What's going to happen when they adjust to the fact that they can be immortal? What's going to happen when they have no diseases? What's going to happen when they have a replicator in each of their dwellings? What's going to happen? Things are going to shift rapidly. People are going to start to understand. And what's going to happen when they find out that there's enough for every single one of them, and then some? Say, it's endless. It never exhausts. And so people will adjust. Yeah, there'll be hiccups. Yeah, there'll be situations. Some people will not be too awake and they will have issues and difficulties. But we're aware of that. See? But the population of the planet, it has the right and it deserves to be the true gods that each and every one of us are. And to enjoy this planet, we are transitioning this planet into a God planet. Basically, bottom line. It'll be in a higher frequency. It's already begun. It's a fifth dimensional frequency. It's an arc frequency. It can jump to higher and higher frequencies when we are ready, when we transition, and we really fully know who and what we are. Most of us have transitioned into fifth dimension. People don't understand what that means. They think that they're going to, everything. It's the reason you're seeing a lot of silliness, and the reason the awakening is happening, because the collective consciousness has ascended to the fact of understanding that it is now ascending into a higher frequency. You will see things dissipate, vanish, vaporize. You will see all of this last-ditch effort. Coronavirus, all of them tried before. Ebola, the great flu epidemic, polio, all of them. Chicken pox, measles, all of them generated, all of them genetically modified and introduced to the population through different carrier waves. So it is an end of the debauchery. It is an end of the greed. It is an end of the manipulation and deception. It is an end. And then there is a new beginning. And then the beginning is what we're in right now. So I would recommend, as a suggestion, to be very perceptive and enlightened, and to stay or move into deep eternal love and gratitude for you, for who you are, and celebrate every second that you're in that body. Celebrate it. And that is part of our enlightenment.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jared. Gosh, really hammered it home. And on behalf of FESIG and everyone here, I would like to thank you so much. I know we heard your alarm ringing and ringing and ringing, and you're supposed to be somewhere else or conducting a global meditation or something, but you chose to be here with us, and you chose to carry on with the messages, and we so appreciate you, Jared.
Yeah, the global meditation isn't for another couple hours. So, and everybody, should know this. We are closely approaching 50 million on our global meditation calls daily.
15 million.
Almost 50 million.
Wow. Sorry, I was wrong to say that it's over 12 million.
Sri Lanka, outback of Australia, tribes in Africa, Asia, all the continents, people from all the continents, from everywhere, poor, homeless, lots of people.
Well done. Gosh, it's meant to be then, because you carry such a strong message for everyone here. And you are the great bringer of the big solution that we so need desperately on this planet for Ascension.
I'm here to serve. That's what I came here to do, and assist the population.
Thank you, Jared.
It's my pleasure.
And there being no other business, this meeting is now adjourned to the 75th meeting on the 1st of April. So everyone stay tuned, and please pen down in your diary the 1st of April, and the time has changed back to the normal usual time, that is 7:30 p.m. GMT. Okay, and it's just a one-off this month and last month. That is a different timing. Okay, thank you so much, Jared.
Much love
Namaste.
to all of you.
Thank you, Jared, and thank you all of you who has chosen to be with us this time when Jared speaks, as well as David Sarita for this 74th FESIG meeting. Thank you. Namaste.